Peggotty. Peggotty, Peggotty. Today, I thought it would be fun to discuss Charles Dickens' David Copperfield. This is my copy. I got it for 50 cents at a thrift store. No, not at a thrift store. At the Friends of the Library, where, it's like, old books that are out of circulation in the library are taken out, to put a new copy or whatever in. So I'll set that bad boy there. He's a big boy. He's 806 pages. So let's just get into it because this is fun, okay? So, how to read and enjoy David Copperfield. So, these are just a few ideas. Obviously, uh, you know, reading tastes are different. Maybe you just don't like domestic type books, whatever. It does talk about his family dynamics a lot, and it just may not be your cup of tea, but this is how I went about it and how I enjoyed it, and so maybe some of these ideas will help you. So, number one, listen to the audiobook. I didn't have my copy until probably 100 pages in. I think, yeah, 100 pages in. And then I got the copy so I could follow along because something struck me as funny. And that's what I'm going to get to next. But I listened to the Ralph Kosham CDs, so they're a little bit older. But at the time, I couldn't get a hold of the audiobook on my, Libby account. So that's what I had, and that's what I went with, and I loved it. So the second thing, count the Peggotties. Oh my gosh. You can't make it a drinking game. Do not make it a drinking game. You will get alcohol poisoning and die within the first chapter. But count, you don't have to actually count, but, pay attention. How many times Dickens used the word Peggotty? And, I mean, yes, it's a woman's name. It's her last name. But just the sheer number of times, I need to look it up because I swear it's got to be hundreds, if not thousands of times in this book. Probably 5 times a page. It's a lot. It's a lot. There's a little period of time where she's not in the story, but it's a lot. And she has a brother, and he's also Mr. Peggotty. So, Peggotty, Peggotty, Peggotty. Oh my gosh. That made me giggle a little bit, especially how Ralph Kosham said the name. It just made me laugh. And and who did it? Peggotty. Peggotty, Peggotty. Anyway, that amused me. But just do not drink along with that. You will die. So, that was 2. Number 3, get ready to have strong feelings about characters. Because for me, I liked about 4. None of them were David. And I hated, how many? 3. Detested, hated. No, 4. Sorry. Maybe 5. Anyway, the point is, I had such strong feelings, oh my goodness. David is just kind of the glue that keeps the story together. But the other characters are what make this story so fun. And, Aunt Betsy. Oh my gosh, that woman. She's so crazy. I love it. I love it. Anyway, and then there is someone named Dora. And, I hate that woman. That little girl woman. Oh my goodness. I hate her. And not for the same reasons I hate other people. Other people are just plain mean. This one's just dumb. Just dirt dumb and can't learn. Anyway, I'll try not to, lash out irrationally. There you go. So, just, enjoy your favorite characters and just detest your least favorite characters, and I think that adds to the experience. Also, pay attention to like the humor, because there's a lot of dark humor in these books. That comes, of course, from Charles Dickens' own life. And he called this his favorite child, so it's got a lot of his own life kind of woven into it. So it's just a lot of dark humor and just like little comments, you know, little things that just make me laugh. So there's that. And the fourth is go at your own pace, but have an end date. Um, I'm reading, well, read it for the Game of Tomes book series or book club with Emma and Carolyn. They both have pages. And, I wouldn't have picked up an 800-page book if I hadn't been involved in a book club, and if it hadn't been a classic. I can tolerate classics that are just endless a little better than I can contemporary, especially knowing that Charles Dickens got paid by the word or by the page or whatever. I understand why. Like, I had mentioned to Carolyn that, the number of times he said Peggotty probably paid his groceries for that month or that year. So, there you go. Peggotty, Peggotty, Peggotty. And then, his groceries appear. It's like Beetlejuice. So, but definitely have an end date. Otherwise, you'll just read like a page a day, every other day, and then you'll put it down and you'll forget about it. Don't do that. Like, have, a cutoff. That's, those are my thoughts. Now, I'd like to kind of rant about it. And if you haven't read it, then you're going to want to, like, cut it off now. Because I'm going to rant about things that, it has spoilers. So, right now, like, if you don't want spoilers, you don't want to be spoiled, just walk away. Turn this off, walk away. But I think it's therapeutic to have rants about books, to get it out. That's why people, I think, have book clubs, so they can talk about these books. Otherwise, they keep it all in their minds and it festers, and then they go crazy. Let's not do that. I don't think, like, I like orange, but I don't want to wear like an orange jumpsuit. So let's just. Okay. So, things that made me crazy. Starting right now. If you're listening to this and you don't want spoilers, you better walk away. You better turn it off. Don't, don't blame me if it gets spoiled. But, because I'm going for it right now. Look at me. I'm opening my book. Alright. So, things that make me crazy. Where to begin? Oh my goodness. Oh, I loved this part. I mean, it's horrible, but it's also funny. So, okay. Take care of him, he bites. His horrible abusive stepfather is torturing him, and he grabs him, and David turns around and bit him. I mean, just like chomped down like a little monster. And oh my gosh. And then he gets sent off to private school, a horrible little dark depressing private school where they don't really take care of the kids and it's horrible. And he sees a sign in his room and it says, take care of him, he bites. And at first David's really excited. He's like, is there a dog? And he's like looking under the bed. He's looking for this dog. And the guy that runs the place is like, no, that's not a dog. It's not for a dog. It's for you, kiddo. And he had to wear it. And the groundskeeper has like definite Mr. Filch vibes, like uh, from Harry Potter. So he, like he's on him. Like if he can't see the sign, like if he stands against the wall or whatever, he's like, "No, you better, make sure that sign's showing at all times." He's like after him, and I mean, it's sad that he thought there was a little dog, but he's the little dog. But there you go. And just he was just so ill treated. Um, He had a little library off of his room that nobody bothered with or whatever, and he didn't have any friends, and he wasn't allowed to do anything. And he's just kind of locked away in the tower with these horrible people who hated him. And he had this little library, and it says, "And I sitting on my bed reading as if for life." That's how he spent his summers. Because he didn't have any friends, he didn't have anything, so he'd read his books and imagine himself as the hero and his horrible step aunt and horrible stepfather as the villains. And that's how he dealt with his stuff. And at first they were homeschooling him, and they'd have him like stand in front of them and recite his lessons. And they would just like make him so nervous that he'd forget everything, and then they'd tell him that he's a moron. And it says, "This was a good freshener for my presence of mind. As a beginning, I felt the words of my lessons slipping off, not one by one or line by line, but by the entire page. I tried to lay hold of them, but they seemed, if I may be so or if I may so express it, to have put on skates, and to skim away from me with a smoothness that there was no checking." Anyway, when his mom tried to comfort him or tried to like talk him through it, his aunt like jumped on him and wouldn't let her. And the mother, bless her heart, I mean, she wasn't trying to be, but she was just weak. She's just so weak. Like, she did not defend her son, and anything that she tried to do to defend her son was immediately shut down. And, I didn't have any respect for her just because, like, she just, like, would roll over and take it. She never tried to actually, like, fight back. Um, but what are you going to do? I mean, she had no rights. And once she married him and he moved his horrible sister in with them to keep an eye on her, there was really nothing, I don't know. There's nothing she could have done, but just the weakness is an irritation to my little 2022 sensibilities. 2023. Why did I say 2022? It's so crazy. But there's the aunt. Yeah, if she didn't like somebody, she'd just make fun of their name. And even if she didn't know them and she didn't like their name, she'd just make fun of them. So she hates Peggotty because of Peggotty's name. She's like, "Oh, that woman with that ridiculous name," and that's how she she would talk about her, and it just cracked me up. And there's a guy named Babbly, Richard Babbly, and she had quite a bit to say about him too. uh, oh my goodness. So yeah, the aunt. Oh, Aunt Betsy and her deranged brain and her imaginary nephew or niece because she didn't want a nephew. And oh my goodness. And then there's that Weasley little Mr. Oh, what's his stupid name? I can't stand him. Uriah. Uriah. I didn't write it down. But obviously, Uriah is a horrible, horrible beast. Um, he says his name a lot, and he's just, is it like Heck or something? Heap. That's what it is. Heap. Uriah Heap. He's a heap. I'll tell you what. Heap. Mm-hmm. Just guess. You can guess what the heap is of. And then David, of course, agrees with me. Dear Agnes, so much too loving and too good for anyone that I could think of. Was it possible that she was reserved to be the wife of such a wretch as this? Oh, let's hope so. Oh, I hope not. Poor Agnes. My goodness. I love Agnes. She was so sweet and so lovely. And, yeah, I just, I love all of this stuff. I love, that crazy old man, what's his name, Burkus, and him. Yeah, he's never even spoken to Peggotty. And he's like, Burkus is willing. Ew! First of all, I imagine him to be this horrible creature. Second of all, we find out later that he's so stingy. I hate stinginess. Like, if, even if Chris Evans, like the body and face of Chris Evans, had that stinginess in him, but he was perfect in all other ways. Like, he was Captain America for real. Because Cap is perfect. Yeah, he just is. But even if that had that stinginess in him, I'd say no. Like, ew. I hate stingy people. Just, ew. Ew, ew, ew. So, don't talk to me if you're stingy. But anyways, he cracked me up. Like, Burkus is willing. Barkus is willing. Ew! Oh, it's so gross. Oh, it's so funny. And like the things that he had in his box that he just, oh, that's old clothes. No, that is not old clothes. He's a crazy old man. And just, just everything in this book. I mean, yes, there are dry spots, but when you just go through it and like, there's so many things that are so fun. Uh, don't wear lip gloss. You get cat hair stuck on it because it drifts through the air like snow on a stormy day. Like a blizzard. Yeah, and it's because of you mostly. I see you. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Diego. You can't see Diego, but he's there. He's sitting in a shoebox, staring at me. Because why wouldn't it be? Because I'm talking to myself. Oh, and then there's Rosa, Miss Dartle. Oh, she sucks. Just, ugh. Just, ew. Ew, ew, ew. She's, there's so many horrible people in this book. But then there are the Peggotties. I love the Peggotties. Both Miss Peggotty and Mr. Peggotty. They're the best. I just, man, I love Peggotty. Really, the name Peggotty is what makes the book for me, I think. Like, if it hadn't had the name Peggotty in it 100 times, maybe I wouldn't have loved it so much. But just hearing the the narrator, Peggotty, 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 it reminded me of Princess Bride when that little old woman is chasing around her husband, Billy Crystal, and she's like, Humpadink, 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 Humpadink. And he's like, stop it. And stop saying that name. That's what it's like. Only much more fun. Alright, is there anything else I wanted to talk about since I've been kind of rambling? And not really ranting, it was just a ramble, I guess, that I had in my mind. If I had made this video right after I read it, I probably would have had more fire. against, Heap and the Murdochs and all of them, but I've calmed down. So, also, if I never hear the term child wife ever again in my life, I will be okay. I will be so okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so hopefully, to wrap it up, listen to the audiobook with Rolf Kosham, perhaps. I don't know who narrated the actual audiobook that's digital now, but I enjoyed Ralph Kosham. Count Your Peggotties, that's just fun, and just kind of lean into it, I guess. Um, pace yourself and have fun. Yeah, and embrace Aunt Betsy. Oh my goodness, she's just so fun. All right. Well, thank you for bearing with me for 22 minutes or whatever. And yeah, I hope you have a great week. Have a great weekend, great afternoon, evening, and good night. All right.